everyone, and welcome to The Single Parent, brought to you by Christ Our Shepherd Ministries, where we're bringing you fresh perspective and real solutions to today's single parent. I'm Jennifer Dow, and I want to welcome Officer Stason Tyrrell to The Single Parent today. And we are talking about safety today, and just a little bit about our officer here. You've been in law enforcement for 10 years.
I have.
And you are currently working with the Matthews Police Department, but before that you were with a larger task force, so you got to get a lot of great experience in there. And you're also married and a dad, so
that's correct. Yes.
You're a perfect person to be here today and talk to us about safety. And in celebration of safety, I have worn my safe color of black today.
Safe as long as you're not a pedestrian.
Oh, well, they're safe for the camera, I meant.
Okay.
So that's how I'm celebrating safety.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about safety, or a little bit why you're passionate about safety. And oh, I almost forgot to mention, you are the representative for the Matthews Police Department for Safe Kids Charlotte-Mecklenburg Coalition.
Correct.
And we'll hear more about that throughout the time, so I wanted to make sure to mention that. So now that I've said that,
okay.
Tell me a little bit more about why you're passionate about safety, why it's important to you, just a few things like that.
All right. As you mentioned, 8 years prior to coming to the town of Matthews as a law enforcement officer with a larger agency. So gained quite a bit of experience there, a lot of responding to emergencies and tragedies and things of that nature, and dealing with all sorts of different issues, as you can imagine. But I was fortunate enough to be able to get into a position here in Matthews where I'm the Community Resource and Public Information Officer. So everything now I do, I've got a dedicated position towards prevention and education to the public. So anything that has to do with communicating, whether it be safety or crime-related prevention and education, that falls in my category. So it's nice to be now, instead of being reactive to things, I can be more proactive and help be a voice for all of public safety workers that want to get messages out to the community. That's
really great. Yeah, it's much better when it comes to safety to prevent than to have to react. I agree with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about the category, some younger safety issues with younger kids, and then we're going to talk about some safety issues for older kids. So why don't we just jump right in? What about young kids? What are the most important things to look out for and to kind of keep on the radar in terms of safety issues?
Well, starting out with the youngest of children, obviously transportation becomes an issue, and we talk about transportation considering proper car seats and things of that nature, and how children should travel in a vehicle. But also, once you get home, talking about sleep safety and the proper ways to ensure that your child is at the lowest risk for things like sudden infant death syndrome and other issues that can come from respiratory distress caused by too many plush items in the crib, or from sleeping in the bed with the parent versus being on a hard, firm mattress. There's a lot of different things that are related to that.
And you're talking about the SIDS.
Yes.
That, honestly, that confuses me a little, because you hear so much, because it's sudden infant death syndrome, and you're like, really? What causes it? And I've heard that before, but I mean, is there any real hard identifiable data that says this is what this is? Can you talk a little more?
Yeah, I'm not too much of an expert in that, in the medical side of things, but talking about the term we like to use is back to sleep, meaning make sure the child's on their back when they sleep.
Yeah.
To make sure that the child's on a firm mattress, recommending that they wear a sleep clothing outfit versus having any kind of blankets or comforters. Things like the bumpers around the crib, stuffed animals, things of that nature that are inside the crib. All those things limit the airway and the amount of oxygen that's able to move around the child. And like I said, I can't go too far into the realm of the medical side, but these are some of the things that.
And so it's a respiratory issue then. They just stop breathing.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. So the main, and I guess that's what confused me, because I was like, what's the main concept here? What am I actually fighting against here? And it's the idea that you want air flowing all around them. So that makes sense. And the bumper, all of that. Okay.
Anything that's going to reduce the amount of oxygen that flows around the baby when it's sleeping.
Okay.
So, a good firm mattress with a fitted sheet that's made for the crib mattress.
Okay. And no blankets, really. Just
avoid it if possible, and try and
just
go
have
with
the big sleepers on them. That okay.
That's much better. That way you don't have to worry about, because in our sleep we're going to be able to move around, and if something starts obstructing our airway or something like that, we're going to do it in our sleep. We're going to be able to reach up and move it out of the way.
Right.
But of course a baby can't do that.
Right.
If a baby's sleeping on its belly, it's going to have difficult time. As your chest rises and collapses and goes up and down. The babies don't have that inherent. They're not able to flip themselves over when they start getting into distress.
So I'm guessing when we can stop worrying about it so much is when a baby's able to push something out of the way, or flip over
on their own and things
like that.
Smack
someone if they're in their way.
Generally within the first year.
Okay, great. Yeah, my daughter actually is turning 1 today. Happy birthday, Katie! So we've just finished thinking about all these things.
And there's lots of resources out there, and I would definitely tell parents to consult with their pediatrician on these things. Like I said, this isn't my complete area of expertise. It's just when we start talk about prevention, it begins at the baby, at the newborn stage.
Okay.
Probably an area more of what we deal with is in the babies in vehicles and traveling.
Right. Okay, so you said that was the other most important thing, transportation. So you're talking about car seats, making sure they're buckled in properly. What resource is there a resource where people can check and make sure if they're buckling things in properly, that they can go to just if they're not sure? I think we all know that babies go in car seats,
Yes.
And what is actually the law? Because I know some people believe different things. Is it 40 pounds or 80 pounds? What is it actually? Well,
starting from newborn up to 1 year of age, the baby has to be rear facing and away from an airbag, in a position in the vehicle where they're not, or an airbag not in the front of the vehicle, or if they have to travel in the front in a vehicle that either has a disabled airbag or no airbag at all. In most cases you find the rear seat being the safer place for the child to travel. In the center of the rear is always a good option that protects against side impact. Those are some things that you do want to consider when you're placing where you're going to put the car seat in the vehicle. However, different vehicles, there's so many different kinds of vehicles, there's so many different types of child seat manufacturers, that the combination of the two, and then the way that particular child, whether it's a 5-pound premature child coming, real low birth weight child coming home from the hospital, or an older, maybe 18 pounds at 6 months old. Different children grow at different rates. They have different, different heights, different weights, different seats, different cars, different seatbelt systems. There's so much out there. Really, I mean, we could go on and on and on about it. Just to be certified as a car seat technician, to be able to install seats, it's a 40-hour school that we go to. Just so we know how to properly install them, because there's so many different variations.
So that's what the answer is then. Everyone coming home, try to put the car seat in, and it's right. We just need to go to the class.
Need to get, the best thing to do is get it inspected if you have any question at all. You want to check and make sure that the seat that at the belt path where it crosses, first of all, read the manual. Read the manual that comes with your vehicle, your car, and read the manual that comes with the child restraint system. Make sure you're attaching things where they're supposed to be attached. Then if you can get it tight enough to where there's less than an inch of movement from side to side at the belt path, you've got a good installed seat.
Less than an inch of movement.
Side to side.
You gotta get that less than an inch.
Less than an inch movement, give it a good tug side to side. We try to get them as tight as possible, and then if you're making your car rock by pushing the seat back and forth, then you've got a good installation. But Safe Kids Worldwide, go to safekids.org. There's a ton of information on the website, and you can also link to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Coalition, as we mentioned earlier, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Coalition of Safe Kids, and that's another source of information. You can find out where the local checking stations are held, where you can get your seat checked to see if it's installed properly.
Great. Well, I think we covered everything we want to cover for the younger kids, so we have about 5 minutes before break, so why don't we go ahead and jump into older kids. And I think we're thinking about back to school safety, or just in school safety, and kids staying home alone, and some other issues. What are the important things that we need to think about for the older kids?
For the older kids? The older kids definitely need to consider, at what age is your child mature enough to be left home alone, or even to leave the home